In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all worlds, and peace and blessings be upon His trustworthy messenger, and upon his family and companions after that. To the noble sons of the Syrian people, I stand before you today with a heart full of hope and determination, directing my words to all Syrians, to those living in displacement camps, to the displaced and refugees, to the wounded and injured, to the families of martyrs and the missing, to the activists, revolutionaries who dedicated their lives to the struggle for a free Syria. I stand before you today after 54 days of our collective liberation. Syria has been freed from the chains of a criminal regime that weighed on our chest for decades. 54 days have passed, seen the end of 54 years of one of the darkest forms of authoritarian rule in the entire world. Syria has been liberated first by the grace of Allah, and then thanks to every person who struggled inside and outside the country, every person who sacrificed their soul, blood, home, wealth, security, and safety. Syria was liberated through the sacrifices of the martyrs, the detained men and women, the tortured men and women, the missing men and women, and all their grieving mothers and bereaved families. Because of their sacrifices and your sacrifices, I stand here today so that we may together open a new chapter in the history of our beloved country. This victory emerged from the voices of demonstrators and the chants of the protesters in squares and public spaces. It emerged from the fingers of Hamza al-Khatib, the songs of demonstrations, the cries of the detainees and the tortured in dungeons of Tadmor, Sednaya, and the Palestine Detention Center. And it continued with the sacrifices of the revolutionaries who liberated the land of Syria. Despite years of suffering from missiles, barrels, and chemical attacks, they didn't bend, they didn't break. Brothers and sisters, yesterday I assumed the responsibility of the country after intensive consultations with legal experts to ensure the political process proceeds within legal norms and grants it necessary legitimacy. And from here, I address you today as the President of Syria during this critical period, asking Allah to grant us all success in uplifting our country and overcoming the challenges we face. This will only be achieved through the unity of all the people and leadership. I speak to you today not as a ruler, but as a servant of our wounded homeland, striving with all strength and will I possess to achieve the unity and revival of Syria. Keep in mind that this is a transitional phase and part of a political process that requires the genuine participation of all Syrians, both men and women, both inside and outside the country, to build their future with freedom and dignity, without exclusion or marginalization. We will work on forming a comprehensive transitional government that represents Syria's diversity with its men, women, and youth, and is responsible for building the institutions for a new Syria until we reach the stage of free and fair elections. Based on the mandate of my current duties and the decision to dissolve Parliament, I will announce a preparatory committee to select a small legislative council to fill this gap during the transitional phase. In the coming days, we will announce the preparatory committee for the National Dialogue Conference, which will serve as a direct platform for discussions, consultations, and hearing various viewpoints on our upcoming political program. After completing these steps, we will announce the Constitutional Declaration, which will serve as the legal reference for the transitional phase. In the coming period, we will focus on setting our priorities, primarily achieving civil peace and pursuing criminals who have shed Syrian blood and committed massacres and crimes against us, whether they are hiding inside the country or have fled abroad, through a genuine transitional justice system. Completing the unity of Syrian territory, all of Syria, and enforcing its sovereignty under one authority on one land, building strong state institutions based on competence and justice, free from corruption, favoritism, and bribery, establishing the foundations of a strong economy that restores Syria's regional and international standing and provides real, dignified job opportunities to improve living conditions and restore lost essential services. Sons and daughters of free Syria, building the nation is our shared responsibility. This is a call for all Syrians to take part in building a new homeland governed by justice and consultation, Together we will shape the Syria of the future, a Syria that is a beacon of knowledge and progress, a refuge of security and stability, a land of prosperity and advancement, a Syria that extends its hand in peace and mutual respect so its people may return to a homeland that is dignified, prosperous and secure. God willing, and all praise is due to Allah, Lord of all the worlds.